Okay. Díobh gach duine agus máidir nótróna má gcuibh go léir pe átatá se bhain sa dain, is mis níomh na cen agus is mis cúntóir Jónach na géimethe i gláiste ollscoile blach lia. Tá lucha an fáilte chur roimh chuig an imacht fíorúil speisialta seo le féile UCD. Global Perspectives on an interview-style mini-series featuring UCD alumni, academics and friends worldwide sharing their stories, ideas and experiences. By na córáta airmiúla siúd díortha ábhir idirnáisiúnta a bhfuil sim ag orbobal domhanda UCD le breis 300,000 duine. Sa sesiún an lei aniu, pléif mid conas a le réitar or deanga gúcais taobh muid éireann agus na daoine a chomáid in bio í Harlar. This series reflects UCD's Rising to the Future strategy and its 4 strategic themes: creating a sustainable global society, transforming through digital technology, building a healthy world, and empowering humanity. Tá lucha an fáilte a chur ribh Hugh Mac Guill ceara ó TG Cahir, nó ba céirta dom a rá ó bloch TG Cahir, cé a bheith a ggóra le Ciaran Mac Guill, onadí na cabla rancaise, agus duine de bhunathirí na Gaeltacht Sur Seine, agus a Caramór, múntóir agus aisteoir Paula Nic Cionnaith. By sesiún na gceistena agus freigraí in anam tarlú tar éis an chóra idir trocha nó trocha chuig nóméidir ads. Tuki an sesiún chun críthe de óir an clig. Tá fáilte roimh mhór gceistena a chuirt isteach sa bhosca Q&A ag bun an scáilán, as Gaeilge nó a spéirla, Irish or English, cibé tang is farliv. Frag roimid ard ceistena agus is féidirlinn. Please note, we are trialling the auto-generated transcription services of Zoom, which are currently in beta testing. Closed captioning will also be available on the recording on YouTube. So now, it is my pleasure to hand you over to our moderator, Hugh Carr. Over to you, Hugh.
Thank you very much, Niamh. Gur míle maith agus fáiltí a chuirde Hig and Cora and Nocht. Welcome to the conversation tonight. I've been really looking forward to this all week, and I'm sure that we'll have a very interesting and riveting discussion. I'll just give an introduction to myself and to the participants tonight. Agus sin masin tanga. So it's Mr. Hugh Mac Guill na Hugh Carr agus tama gobar la block TG Cahir for lahar mar coordihar na man hóisiilta Mr. Delta in UCD either yavius a shejig agus yavius in Leijig mar Delta the Barla agus Dramiacht after I get the Gaelic or Antiv fasta so sin dói go ma that a shahanshaw. The ma as from the first me is as an Gaeltacht Creeler na Gaeltacht in the Nal agus ma go burn seal na Gaelic la couple of Viananish either more or radio na Gaeltacht agus more or an Focal Score or BBC. So my name is Hugh Carr. I've been working with the Irish language for a few years now. I studied English and drama in UCD between the years of 2016 and 2019. And I have been working with Irish constantly throughout my time in UCD and outside of UCD between appearing on Radio na Gaeltacht and on BBC and other associated channels. So much Ian Ionacht, or the guests tonight, are Dúspóir Paula Nic Cionnaith. Is a sasna uhush I Paula a takoni arhi e gonamar le bresh agus trohavlian thresh the blianta fada kaihu a monk colata hargin eshna adjusted da winter Gaelic first pass or winter Gaelic against CCL bars. As shin dashu she gijin Rushil leve gober mar ashor commandant she chagwal le harja inta a ringshi as a mon rang in the Gaelic sarank. So Paula is originally from England but has lived in Connemara for over 30 years. After spending many years running a company that provides educational resources to Irish teachers, she got a job as an Irish teacher at the RCT in Paris. From there, she moved to Brussels to work as a translator, but keeps in touch with the wonderful friends she made and taught Irish classes in France. Agus Ciaran Mac Guill Fosta, or we're also joined by Ciaran Mac Guill. Irish language enthusiast Ciaran is the co-founder of Gaeltacht Sur Seine and the author of Irlande de Poche. Originally from Dundalk, Ciaran graduated from UCD with a BCom. While in UCD, he was LNH record secretary and co-founder and auditor of the Breton Society. After qualifying as a certified accountant, he worked in London and Brussels for settling in Paris as a finance manager. He is a former treasurer of the Paris Gaeilge GAA and of GAA Europe. And also, of course, yes, author of Irlande de Poche. So in Gaelic, Rugu is Togu Njalgane. For once I came master tretla, Fád bhí se sa cháil se oscail bailile clia, bhí sé an runúni na choíochta leis an cuman litre agus steiril agus cóhhaíthir an chuman Brittany Caile mar inúthir in máile clia agus dobrí sé a London agus sa Brussel sular chuir sé faoí bars mar bháine se agadidir agus is mar iartheisteir é dá na páircéils GA agus GA na Harpa. Fád cíiste?
Gur maiid an a jazz felt.
Yeah, sin a sin
galore. Bhí galore le rá agat an sin.
Yeah, just mar sin bhí go maiid tan prompter go seo so tá cear. So first of all, thank you so much for being here, and I suppose we'll jump straight into the questions. So leis a Gaeilge, obviously tuisih de hanga na trí hanga mar tuisih na hóní snar, but so how does speaking Irish help you to learn and kind of embrace other languages? You know, with the Irish language, we're obviously very proud of the Irish language, and it's a huge part of Irish identity abroad is that we have our language that we celebrate and share it around. So how would you say that that kind of experience of growing up already kind of bilingual, or not growing up bilingually, but having an appreciation for Irish, how did that then assist you in learning further languages as you went on?
Will I start?
Ciaran was my latte, yeah.
Okay, well, it's a simply shin just to grog as so to isagat Hannah thing go bait to able to changa ella island. Shouldn't run more. Along in more is Mujanas and size and doing more berla. So it's bullen tool in the Americanian assassin. August ta five mar Captain Chick will akan changa size jack or August the few a lower no island. Because to dini able to size berla loud. So shouldn't I more tag the dini le berla. So not tagging to Hagan rank no enoch. I was to Gaeilge agat. To is agat Hannah fein go to an on changa ella a loud island. August could be dini brass sauce de a loud class when will sim agat what to sauce the on over again of. So shouldn't rather find to Gaeilge. Dual edus and dual. Agus an Marjana Frankie la curiosité tá sim agat an changa ella agus trishin conna sé elam tá tú cacta hel gá focal for Kenya rud a wand or cúpla focal agus just ein mar cosúla ein changa agus ar wulmid dinis an shire more in Europe tá a leid gá no trí changa ar a Londini tá na Germani na Netherland Toshi du Foster to made sin Changaku so ni rod Jackeray so is how kumar bring chile elum god no tree changa sa bunskul few so on rod lin I shouldn't buntosh into more tech ni har larno will arai god changa no to is hagin kunnas a being agus ni she rod ashtok god changa ba agus ni rod ashtok shin up curba so le shin one is so to unaway for Kenya and changa ella just lesson smin of China one will she will akandin and on changa god changa loud
Tan bun sogad in sin. Paula, tá scéal sam agad mar dultas a Gaeilge agus achní as an goduchas a tú, so and just like the scale of wrench, you know, share how you learned Irish coming from England originally and then moving to Connemara for the past while.
I know, fi me Gaeltacht lad, nu vi tú in a Kershis or I thought, Jesus, I'd like to meet her. Wow. Oh, yeah, just a Gaeltacht like Ciaran and Shin. Hasna mi Rugo agus Togo is asna mai Tishmahori a Ciaran Carcilor ach rinne sheets and Gaeilge Giscal agus ni raf she down bowl dro and tahi vi ako Paula Nic Cionnaith Giscal no enrid mar sin agus dog sin skal gishan an ogad enchome ach cara medalish and swin of sin sha has a mission fálam Frankish skal cosú le gachta skaldara level agus hadn't sé lom agus vi memories into my agus rinne me Frankish and sin ag an allskal rinne me stadir ag an allskal agus cho me kon coni in sin of had bliana sa Britain mar triú blian de mahorsa agus a lo is a land al me an dúirt na Britanniger fad is called Cahar Ling Hu. So the brasásta ach vi náda orm ní raibh an Gaeilge art we frankly should go mi bear agam but ní raibh Gaeilge agam. So as soon as I went back then to college in England, I started learning Irish then. I was in the 4th year at college, and then as soon as I left college chumeg Connemara agus tama via Corkig I sinéir in a tama hen, but just a rud spatial, yeah, it's ní rud éisce é aontanga a álam ní dóilem. Bhuis go bhí Ciaran rá tá smaoinemh agat agus is leor sin nuair a haon tú go dtíon tír go bhfuil tú dul bheith an láirt le daoine tá fáilnart bhíon fáilnart láirt le agus gahar ach tógann sé annach chuid ibre aontanga a álam aontanga is cum cintanga í hain. Ach der daoine gomórmhór má dhealach go mím ag lé le fálamóirí golóir den an deran golóir daoine go bhfuil an cháil an Gaeilge. Irish is kind of known for being a particularly difficult language, and I really don't agree. It's not just because bhfuil Gaeilge agam, but I really don't agree. I think the most difficult thing about Irish, the most difficult thing is that there is nowhere on the planet that you can go and be immersed and live your life through Gaeilge. Sin rud is dacra faoi, mar tan go be heile má tú gur Frankie se álam is féad le dul go dtí áit an bailibeg sa rank agus ní clocha tú ein rud ach Frankis agus beit tú lífa treis pís mar ní bheith géin dul as agat. But yeah, an rud is dacra faoin Gaeilge ná an taithí sin the immersive experience. You just can't get it. So I have every respect for the Nadalti ar fad, na Micklein ar fad, a bhí agam I Boris. Wow, bhí siad haar bar. Bhí siad a ggéire Gaeilge an chuir siad go leor ibrish dachan agus bhí siad a ggéire í a láirt go má. Not just slabal heartley, ach really bhí a fálam go má.
It's a shame my French isn't stronger. Sorry, je tout pensais pour la back, but that's all I know. That's all I have. So it's more than true. But yeah, gone out. Go on, Ciaran.
No, sorry. I just wanted to catch up there with just say two things there with what Paula was saying. One, yeah, it's extraordinary the effort you have to put into Irish because certainly she had her students here in Paris. But they were a great bunch. I mean, like we in the Gaeltacht, as you might notice, we have a banner here for the Gaeltacht. You might say that we're yeah, just in case no one has seen it, it's up there. That's up there, okay?
I thought I saw something in the background, something quite small and indistinct.
But it's just covering dreadful things you don't want to see. But the funny thing is that there was a lovely kind of, we'll talk about it later, I guess. It's the kind of way we worked here in Paris. Paula produces all the speakers, and then we in the Gaeltacht, we then take them away and put them into different situations like wine fairs or cinemas or Tomagesh. So we look after the social side. But the other thing there, it was just kind of a funny an anecdote, really. I was there sort of saying that among all the English speakers, you might say like Americans, English, Irish, who come to France, the Irish are way ahead of the others in learning the local language. So it's the same in Spain or Germany. Or Irish people within about 3 months can speak the local language. That's a very broad thing, but I think I can safely say that because I've seen the GAA. The GAA here in Paris operates in French. And there's now 20 GAA clubs in France, and they all operate in French. And that's because the Irish people who founded them, they all did their work in French. So on the funny side, where the Irish language kicks in is that, and where we're trying to tell Erasmus students come over and they've only got about 3 months to get as much out of France as possible. It's a very short window. And French will practice their English on them. Just a tragedy. I think everyone's come across it. You come out with your perfect French, and the French person will then answer you in English. And the French person is actually trying to practice their English on you. But Irish people can hold their ground. They can hold their ground and say, "No, sorry, we're going to do our business in French." And one of the many ways of getting around that is, of course, saying that Irish is your first language, and that you appreciate their efforts to speak to you in English, but you'd ask them to be kind of lenient because your English isn't that good. And once they think your English is bad, that's it. They don't want to hear any more of your dreadful English. And the fact that you can say that in Irish, or you can honestly say, well, sorry, Irish is my language. That's it. It saves you, and it actually helps. Funnily enough, it's an extra tool in your bag to learn the local language. So I just wanted there was just the 2 points there, that Irish is it's a great thing to have when you're going abroad, and you can to learn then the local language. One, you're more inclined, you've got great respect for other languages, and two, you can say, well, it's my first language.
Yeah.
And the people, it's a dreadful thing. English speakers are particularly singled out for this obsession to learn English by people do it anywhere. I think English speakers think they're getting a great deal. Oh, this is great. They're speaking to me in English. No, they're not. They're practicing their English on you. They are actually learning English from you when you should be perhaps learning the local language.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's you know, near the Lord we catch Gaelic Carlar means to meet you that it's, you know, it's a tool to be able to talk about someone behind their back. So I think what I might have felt that it's a useful tool as well to try and help, you know, get yourself immersed into the local language. And I suppose just near flame with you, and now that it's all I can look at now is the sign behind you that says Gaeltacht Sur Seine. I think it might. So just kind of short like Kindoi Wanue agus, you know, Kindoi or Hanik Shalachella, because it's very interesting to see like a Gaeltacht kind of organization in Paris. Like, so I would love to hear the formation.
Okay, well, she kind of hard. Okay, I'll just do it in English for a moment because, in case those who are listening, because it's an extraordinary story. A lot of Irish people in France. There's about 7,000 in Paris. I think an estimate about 500 can speak Irish, and they'll meet Irish speakers will meet Irish speakers. And as in the problem in Ireland, you don't know that the other person speaks Irish, so you do everything in English. And in France, it's a double one. We then do everything in French. So you might have 2 or 3 people there. There's a French person there, and you're speaking in French, and you or in English, but you want to keep the other person in the conversation. So that's it. There's very few opportunities to speak Irish, even though there's so many Irish speakers meeting each other in pubs, situations, anything. Lots of community events. And so it's a tragedy. And so it was actually the chaplain here in the Irish College. There's an Irish chaplaincy here. That was Father David Bracken. And there was 3 of us involved. So myself from the GA, and then there was Maeve, and then there was Father David. We said, let's just create a moment once a month where we don't have to be worried about the person who's not in the conversation, because that's the whole deal is that we get together, we spend an evening together, and anyone who meets anyone in this situation, typically a pub, and or a bistro as they have over here, and there you could actually speak Irish. We created an event once a month where you can happily speak Irish because people wanted to. Everyone was kind of all raring to go. They just never had an opportunity. So we founded it. It's been there for 12 years. And it's really caught on very, very well. It's a big feature. I think it's safe to say it's a big feature of the Irish community here in Paris, along with the GEA and lots of other things, the Irish College.
Yes, well, you have other events too, as well, all related to the Gaeltacht Sur Seine. You know, you have there's a singing club as well, and the reading book club. Yeah, I was getting all this feedback from the students that I had in my classes, because they would all most of them would be involved in something else as well outside of the classes too. It was great, really, really good. A really social thing to do.
Well, this is it, Paula. This is it, exactly it. It just then it mushroomed up, and lots of things. You're quite right. We have the Club Aronieta, and they are extraordinary. We just meet once a month. They meet every week, and they sing songs. and do it on Zoom, because now we've got all Zoom, and they'd be there at 2 o'clock in the morning singing away on Zoom. This is like great. So it's So you have quite right. Those the Club Aironiacht, they came out. Then you had Club Lauer. There's another branch after. They're all come from people who've met in the Gaeltacht. We're all very much the same people, but lots of different activities. Then we also have, because not alone do we have a Gaeltacht Sur Seine, but we have our Ciaran Sur Seine. So that's every year we have an Irish language festival that actually we don't do with the rest of the world. The rest of the world does it around St. Patrick's Day. You know, you have Seacht and the Gaeilge.
You want to watch out now, Ciaran. I'd say there's a lot of people going to land in on top of you this November because they are.
Okay.
You're promising a party.
Right, so
if there's a party going
hold on, I'm just gonna you say it there. I'm gonna book my flights. Hold on a second. Just
well, actually, I have to confess. Hopefully, no one's taken any notes, and this tape will self-destruct, won't it? At the end of the
absolutely, yeah. We'll make sure. We'll make sure no one sees it.
So if anyone's listening, you're of course all very welcome to Fáilte Mór chuibh Achan Dine Teachtag Paros. Agus an Clara ta agin tá sé do creidse fa Kenya an Town Sur Seine, like Tussin Sheila, an Salon Fina, ta Ihe Scannon, ta Afran, Amni bin, ma bin Tommy John Cargeles an ambassade Ruddy Ella. So we'll agus Kelly, Kencheles, l'Association Irlandaise. Agus rud intach sin mar is Frankie the League. Association Irlandaise agus sill na ceoltóirí agus widna na dtíon bheith leabhart agus in Paris GAA an a teirteach sin na daoine sportúil agus so sin an Town Sur Seine cinse timpeall mína saona agus rud mór sin flá mór tágin. So an aib nó I réit mí baltaine no ní balteach mí Marta tá baríocht rudí eile le siúil i Paros. So tá níos mó spás agin agus mar sin bín daoine séir agus bín daoine ábal to teach teag nach trí atagin.
Agus tá sé fairly freisin ar nóid má jaolair an ige hána é an agus.
Oh, I cinse agus tá the turn-up. Tá mé sé caint cuasaí turn-up go bhfuil go ní dtíon mis an tain den an seo ní chuíon rud sin an sais citruúia an rud mór óráiste sin. Ní bhfuil sin agam sé dúndalgan. Rud bhí agam an dúndalganach turn-up. Ro sin agam sé, Paula, turn-up a bhí agam sé? No.
Ra mis sin éidir nuair a bhí me ceúir ige hána agus mé am a chailí nóg is asna bhí mise.
So
an pernapi a bhí agin in sin, no?
Agus ran na firste?
Bhí Virginia rá clachtaí chun na bin bags áing héin le go máhanna chéad ní muid ag fáir a stí a Harbí muid gála garneal ag dulthaigh na tíí agus na fadach stein lenne agus na dasaí ré le fáil yeah bhí se like a scream mask go like níidir na has a hart a bhí agam agus bhí se yeah so no ní turn-up bhí agin right I think bring on my head pumpkin and sin im lianna but ní arna muid é chuiche ribh yeah
well sin just rud eile of course he turn up like I just an I bleis na turn up sa rank tá sé roh bheog tá se bheog ar fad sin and turn up an air is rud mór an turn up sa rank rud inta bheog sin mar bíon you know.
They are in kind of her hugadish in amda yeah him Liana they are in kind of airmail hugad na DHL never the yet.
Oh I go air sorry just coop the turn up cart like more yeah sin
Jenny McKinch how much I guess I'm trying to somewhere and much that's the Roger yet so sort of row and Gaeltacht Sur Seine and row ein you know really social or fell da ding euro Gaeilge sa rank no in Paris not could be no like obviously to put the Dutch courage but and row ein would costlish because you know te really costlish and pop up Gaeltacht and Shaw and sin the Haran dome but trying to costlish and be like but in row like Paula agus Ciaran like never should sort of ranker deuce and row na actually Shaw Divla Budula Diniela le Gaelic or and we'll shaft calendar la bliantinus or Harley the amactation.
Well bhí mis mílte renos mai go raibh an job agam mar bhúntóir bhí mis bula le caiintúirí Gaeilge an támar fad bhí sé intach ach inis tá mé gobar felláthis mar aisteúir Rochelle agus is spéisiúil an sih teangatá sin ar nó mar tá daoine gobar in sin in sna institute orpacha ó gach ile hir den dis na balstaat ar fad na Gaeltacht. So rather what I noticed most of all about being in Brussels is that people just speak their own language. It's completely multicultural. It's multilingual, multicultural. It's brilliant, and there's nobody bats an eyelid to hear you speaking Irish. It's brilliant. Nobody says, "What's your name, Paula Nic Cionnaith?" "Oh, what's that in English?" Or "How do you spell that?" Or nothing of the sort. It's tá an Gaeilge chócéim leis na teangacha eile ar fad. Everybody is equal. That's what we vote for when we vote for Europe, that everybody has the same respect for every culture and every language, and it's great. We have a good time, very good social life as well within the Irish department. But tá sé go das freisin, hol agus bóla le daoine eile agus blasáilt dus na cultúr eile ar fad atá mór hímpelart. Bhíonn sé go das.
Just how Paul is saying, you're quite right. There's something we didn't get in Ireland, where the seems to fallback language is always English. You say something in Irish, you then repeat it in English, or the subtitles in English, or if it's a book, you get the translation in English, that's all. But not here in France. In France, there's a lot of initiatives, and it's Irish directly with the French language. There's no going through English. So you have assimile this, the French have this this Irish learning book, right? It's called Assimile, it's L'Irlandais de Poche. There is no English version of this book. And it's sold by 70,000. So it's really, and it actually has been translated into Polish. So you're actually having, so the Irish language is out there with the other European languages. And there's...
Well, sorry to cut across you, that's Martin Chin here on. Rud for mis spéis an nu a bhí me mon na rangine I baris ná go raibh an túfás daoine ó áitina difriúlar ó fud ní frankly goháin a bhí ins na rangine a Harbe bhí daoine as go leor tíre difriúla ins na rangine agus ba chúnamh doing ar fad go raibh na teangacha eile á labhairt ag daoine eile, because you see certain similarities or certain concepts that exist in other languages that don't exist in English, but that exist in Irish and in this other language. It's brilliant. I remember there's a Hungarian woman in one of the classes I was doing, and she got, you know, that all the problems and the difficulties that monolingual English speakers, or thinkers I should say, have with sheer agus an near, agus soas, agus an nos, shees, agus an lease, and those kind of concepts. Well, apparently that exists in Hungarian as well. So she had absolutely no bother at all grasping that as a concept. There are people from Japanese people in the classes who understood the concept of counting in Irish, where we have different ways of counting things and how words can change from hein, do, tri to dinna berts truers, agus rá ceann, agus cericín, and the little idiosyncrasies that are associated with the language. But for that Japanese person, it was a daddle, because they have way more different systems of counting than we have. So he was like, is that all you got? So, you know, I guess current sé darke eile, tugann sé darke eile ruit an Gaeilge, nuair a bhíonn tú a caint le daoine eile, agus nuair a bhíonn tú a déanana stadáir a deanga, agus nuair a bhíonn siad san inán ruddy eile a hort chuige table mas mainland. They bring in different things into the classroom that you never get when you're just dealing with English speakers learning Irish. It's fascinating. It's really fascinating.
God, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because you are right in the teaching mood. You're right up there at the getting it right across. You're on the
and make it as accessible to everybody as you can. And sometimes I'd be busting my brains trying to think, how am I going to explain this, you know, in the class? How am I going to explain a fag, agus le ling, agus egor, agus, and all these different concepts, and pendant. They correspond to things like in French, like pendant. So sometimes I was making more work for myself, thinking, how am I going to explain this? Because I know that English speakers always have a problem with these concepts. And then the French people turn around and say, oh yeah, it's easy, it's not a bother, we have that in French. So, but we were talking about that the other day though as well, Ciaran. Do you remember? Because there are certain things that are similar in other languages, not in English at all. I mean, like simple things like vocabulary, like chambre would be chambre in French, so everybody knew that one. And coffre is coffre, you know, a box thing. And there's loads of things, little things like that 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 you never think of until you get into it.
I'd nearly say for the haven't seen lists, haven't prepared them as well, but lists of words, vocab from French to Irish. I'd say if you got about 200 words in Irish to French, that in fact there's an awful lot more similarities between Irish vocabulary and French vocabulary. And you said it there yourself with chambre, chambre, even the word, let's say, cri, agus care, sláinte, santé. Hugh, he go on for a long time comparing these words that are way more similar in French and Irish than they are in Irish and English. The French even have the word gob, gobe is to eat. So you can, so
just sticking in your gob.
And even a crushkin, hold on, the French have a cruche, means the same thing as a joke, a cruche. So you have all these. And another thing, here's what I'm interested, it's place names. France is full of place names that would be no problem to an Irish speaker, and vice versa. A few examples would be the Ardennes. The Ardennes, Ard, it means the height. It means exactly what it means in Irish. So the Ardennes is the, or even the word for France, Gaul. It's exactly the same as Donegal. It's the same Gaul. It's the same Gaul. So you have the foreigner. Other crazy ones is the word at the end, dun. So I come from Dundalgan. But one of the, Verdun, which is the great French battle, known, well, it's known for other reasons, but the Verdun is the same dun. It's a dune, bang on the same. So, and this goes back 2,000 years, when in fact the French spoke a form of Irish. So it was
mad.
Before those Italians came in over the Alps. So Hannibal was trying to keep them out. He brought the elephants, but but it is extraordinary the amount of place names in Europe, not just in France. Like, okay, we're in the French experience, but all over so that was already going on. Place names were already going on. So that was just something as well that just shows you the symmetries. You wouldn't be lost. You wouldn't be lost walking around France. You could find a few place names that would even the word brie, cheese. Do you like our cheese? Brie. Brie is the French for brie.
Oh my God.
It's a headland. Headland. Brie is apparently a headland heading out, and the plateau brie, the cheese of brie, it's the same word, brie. It's a headland. There you go.
The only one I can think of is Garsoon. In Munster there was sometimes says Garsoon and Garçon.
Yeah,
is the only connection I can think of there now.
But no, it's a perfectly good one, because the Normans who came to Ireland in was it 1160 when they started coming over the first time, I think they all spoke French. I mean, they certainly spoke French, but I think they really French was their working language when they came to Ireland. And so a lot of I think all the words with P, because the Irish didn't pronounce P at that stage, the letter P. So the French came over, say your word like paw from P, poste as in page. So that was the French page. It was the young fellow running errands for the night. And so the Irish thing got the word poste. Or even something we have is the sliced pan. We have a sliced pan.
Yes.
Now, the French eat pain as well. It's a French word. So there you go. We're speaking French without knowing it.
And we didn't even plan on it.
No.
They're not lost at all. I think can you go? Keep going.
No, just the family names as well. There's a lot of Irish and French family names that are, but that's a huge. So all the Fitzsimon, the Fitzgerald, the Fitzpatrick, that was just the French when they came to Ireland. So Fitz is fils, son. So they were just copying the Irish model of Mac. And so you have, and then they come back to France. About 300 years later, they're kicked out by the English, and they actually come back to France. And so you read Irish people. I know a fellow called O'Quinn, and let's see, her name is the Butler. and they're perfect French, and they say, well, yeah, we're kicked out of Ireland 300 years ago. Well, yeah, actually, you only just arrived in Ireland about 400 years earlier, so you've actually just come full circle. But anyway, so there is an awful lot of connections between France and Ireland, both the language of the Normans, the language that pre-existed 2,000 years ago. But again, just to make it a bit broader, because I guess the four corners of the world, everyone's in here listening to us at this stage. So it isn't just a French experience. You could say a lot for Spain, Portugal, and then further afield. But okay, so just said the Gaeltacht Sur Seine, huh?
Yeah, that's right. It's there.
We have a funky name. Hey, it's the best name out there. Do you know any other Gaeltachts with us? Kind of
I'd say Ranafas is the best name. Run the Forest is my favorite Gaeltacht, but I'm a bit biased. I'm a wee bit biased. I think we'll move to the Q&A section just for sake of time, and we've got a few questions. And if anyone else has any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat or in the Q&A section, and we'll try and get to you as soon as we can. I'll go to the first one now, which comes in from Patrick Rice. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, or Patrick Reese. I've taken classes at Gaeilge several times. There are always people from all over the world there, Russia, Germany, Australia, with good Irish. What are your thoughts about the fact that people from all over the world are interested in becoming fluent Irish speakers?
I think it's great, and I think they should put in for a job in Brussels, because we're crying out for people with good Irish who can translate. It's brilliant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
No, the answer, yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and I hope they're getting a good kick out of it as well, because there's different ways you use Irish by actually visiting Ireland, or the whole. Let's say, okay, you can get a good job. I think now I see they're looking, though, they've got more jobs all of a sudden. Irish has become a working language. So there will be a lot of opportunities for anyone with Irish. And the fact that they've learned it in a structured way and they're enthusiastic, I think they have a lot of good opportunities. So it's a big positive. And yeah, it's great. And what's more, now Irish, you don't have to go as far as Ireland to speak it, because even what we're doing here, we've now realized a lot can be done on Zoom. This is now talking about the Gaeltacht Sur Seine. For the best part of the last year, we've been Zooming. Same for Club Air on Air, Club Lauer. So in fact, you can learn and use your Irish in a lot of new situations with all this technology. So it's very, very good. In fact, learning Irish is getting easier and more relevant and more useful all the time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You can find Irish classes everywhere. I remember meeting a man in a pub and I couldn't quite figure out his dialect. Turns out he was Canadian, and he had just picked it up from his teacher. So, because sometimes he would say words and I'd be like, that doesn't sound like the right dialect.
Hold on, I even know.
I don't know. He was probably from the Gaeltacht as well as yourself.
Yeah, probably.
I think Irish is probably an extra buzz for language enthusiasts. I know a Chinese girl over here in Paris. She might be there. I don't know if you're out there, Leanne, if you're there somewhere. Ni hao. But it is. She got it on. It's on which university in Dublin now? Dublin City University, DCU, and they have a brilliant course in learning Irish, and she's on it and just gobbling it all up, and it's really well done. So yeah, it's just so there she is, Chinese, living in Paris, learning Irish. So. And because she's a language enthusiast, she likes other languages as well. I think Irish has a certain buzz, certain something. It's Irish actually competes very well in that it's a really old language. It's like 2,000 years old. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm getting carried away, but okay. Just to say that one of the earliest Irish dictionaries, the earliest Irish dictionary, was printed in Paris for Louis XIV. And it's in the Irish College here in Paris. So there you go. It's Irish is
just from a global perspective. There are Irish people all over the world. We're well known for having emigrated to all corners of the planet. And as well as that, I think any kind of interest that you might have in anything Irish will lead you to the language, because we've such a tá stormomnítach áran agin, so dinne be will spéisiaco in sna háran tradiisiúnta tá agin. bhach spéisiach go fáilteach cadí na focail cadí na tagartí vín sa insta há an céanna. nó in sports, ma ag an daine in sports atá in sports national atá agin. Mar a chéile, bud is go ní féidir le bhád sir agus bín an termíocht agus an bhainisteúir scríta léana margan a taobhléana agus mar sin de. So idir an ceol, an áráníocht, an rinke, sport, rud a bit. Being gné a buinte sin, there's always an aspect of the language which will spark a little bit of curiosity as well. So I can understand, tegum go maith ken fá go maach spéisiach daine nach bhfuil éon nasc acu leis a tír go maach spéisiach go sa teanga, tegum go maith.
To catch that logo mean shot, we have one here from Eleanor Testas. Thank you very much, Eleanor. Ken Gasta, but I suppose you can run into another thing. Ciaran, if I'm not mistaken, you work in France. I'm dying to know how your French colleagues pronounce your first name. And I'd say then Ruchin or Akandingi Gaeltacht on Cadur when they see Irish for the first time, what's kind of their reaction to it, I suppose, is
it's everything except Ciaran. So yeah. But for all Ciarans out there, there is hope because I usually get cereal. No, the worst was cereal, Syrian. They pronounce the I and the R like two different vowels, so it's Syrian. And there was a Romanian author called Ciaran or something, so they come out with that as well. Ciaran, Syrian, cereal. But something to save all Ciarans the world over. I met Ciaran Hines, and he's the actor. I met him once. The embassy here in Paris, and he hangs onto his name and he has the fada on it, and the fada is very, very. So two Ciarans talking away, we understood each other, and he.
Did I laugh off your name, Hugh? Anyway, how would they pronounce
Hugh? Yeah, Hugh.
Oh my God!
But in Irish, it'd be Ima Gaeilge. So who knows what way they would come out with it?
I'm all right. I'm safe there. Paul is international. I usually get called Paula, and that's fine. I can handle that.
Yeah. But no, it's the other Irish names. I think half the Irish people in Paris that I know, they have definite, the particularly Irish names and Irish spelling. So everything's out there, the Niamh, Emer, Aoife, we're all in the same. But it is great because the French will make the effort, and they are intrigued. Irish first names are.
And don't say what's in English. That's what they're doing.
And they don't. Quite right, Paul. They're quite right. For them, it's obviously that's the name, full stop. And in France, they do actually have, and it's a French. They're taking on Patrick as well. Patrick is arguably a French name. So there's lots of Patricks here. Our Patrick came from France. That's some say he went from England, but he definitely did his studying in France. Other first names would be Ronan. The French, they have lots of Ronan. That comes from Brittany. And they have Kevin, but Kevin is now, might be the Hollywood impact there. I don't know, but there's not. So you have Kevin, you have Ronan. They're big ones. And Maureen, the French Maureen's, they're surprised to know that it's an Irish name. I think it's an Irish name. It is, isn't it an Irish name, Maureen? Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah. M-A for the I-R, I for the N, yeah.
Bang on, but they have Maureen's. There's a lot of Maureen's in France. And so sorry, that was just an answer. Irish first names, most Irish people have the same experience, I imagine, of teaching the French, and the French are very good. They do want to pronounce your name correctly, so it's a win-win situation. Irish name, once you get over the spelling and just get into the pronunciation, you can find an associate with something. For in my case, there's a village called Ciaran, which just makes Côte de Rhône wine. So I just say, think Côte de Rhône, bang, bang.
Sorted.
Yeah,
wine makes everything easier, famously.
It's a wine country. France is definitely a wine country.
We have another question here from Edward Bach as Carchan Cash, and we'll get our space on the rank no in Russell on Currahorts the Philly no Scrivener Gaela on Schlacht as a Philiacta no Loti Aleo Publi. So kind of to, is there a want for Irish culture, I suppose, in France or in Paris or in Brussels? Yeah,
there is. Well, a lot of, well, not a lot. We've a good handful of writers in the Rhine na Gaeilge Rochelle, who are producing excellent pieces of literature, and they've founded what's the English word? Publishing house. There's a publishing house now, Clo Leuven in Belgium, which is dedicated to printing books in Irish, which is great. And there are various evenings, quite informal, but literary evenings where people would be talking books or reading from books, or like-minded people. So I'd say it wouldn't find it too difficult anyway. So Russia, tacht choloder.
And an seo I paras tá cláistin in Yale an anam eile ná Centre Culturel Irlandais agus dhéanann siad rudaí, so go teanga lo agus féidir go rud éigeach teachtas féidir lo sais rud éigeach. Mar a gcónaí bíonn altarí agus daoine ina gcónaí an sin, so sin an fág bhfuil an Collège Centre Culturel Irlandais, sin an fág bhfuil siad an. So just chun daoine thuirt sé paras have had cúpla mí agus dhéana siad rud mór agus tar éis sin tá sais ihe nó fiú seachtain chun eáil cad atá siad a dhéanamh.
I think Clive, a couple of questions. We'll take a few more questions and then I think we'll wrap it up. We have one here from Thierry Burrell, who's asking, would the EU be able to foster international courses of Gaelic from Brussels or anywhere now that you can teach anything from anywhere in the world? So, Kilda, will the Ranglish or Fuel that they hard are, for everyone
recognize the name straight away anyway. I think it would obviously post-COVID, lots of things seem to be more possible and more in data ná hana. Ach tá mé cap a freisin go rud speisialta mar sin hain an taras a dhéanamh gohéireann agus an chahabh sa Gaeltacht áit go mín daoine a láirt Gaeilge go léithúil. So tá áit an cínte na hairangana líne chun pobl agsúla a chéile ach in riad bud ag an speisialta faoin Gaeltacht agus faoi ghal go héireann ceapan hain.
Definitely. I think like Cashman will take one more question, and the Igash Lesh and Sima will go their Nash the Gaelic or the international interest in the Irish. Is it the Braveheart effect? That film had a huge impact in Russia and beyond. If you rent book Gaelic, Scala and Freshen. So is it the Hollywood representation of the Irish language that you think is the reason why there's such a strong interest, or do you think there might be something else?
It could be. Yeah. Abernath, Ciaran. No, Abernath.
I've been in France for decades. What do you say? How many decades? Nearly 3 decades. Some Bretons are big into Braveheart and they wear kilts. I've never really met anyone interested in the Irish, which is a shame. It's a great film, but it's never. And I think there is a few words. I think Mel is married in Gaelic, isn't it? Is that his midnight marriage takes place with a Gaelic-speaking monk? No, I don't think it actually had an impact on the 60 million French people. No, there are other things that might have spotted. I tell you, there is music. No, not the Braveheart effect, but I would say in France it's the Breton effect. And you have the most unlikely French singers. Nolwenn Leroy is a French singer, and she's sung a few songs in Irish, and she's a mainstream recording artist. And Alan Stivell and certain Breton, they're lesser. No, they're very big. Alan Stivell, my God, he's very big, and he sings in Irish. So I wouldn't say it's Braveheart. It's something that's been before Braveheart, and it's still there today. So Braveheart is maybe for other things, certainly a great publicity for Scotland. And everyone's aware now that Scotland wants to, as Mel would scream out, freedom. So they're all aware, but actually its impact on the learning Scots Gaelic or Irish, no, I haven't come across it myself.
I can't think of any other famous instances. I think it's more that we've kind of discovered Irish in old in Hollywood. I think there's a Tarzan film from the 30s where all the natives are all speaking Irish, because presumably whenever they were filming in Hollywood, all the Irish boys were working on the set and they were just asked to come in. So there's a lot of I wish I could find the clip now or know exactly what film it is, but I'm fairly certain it's a Tarzan film from very, very long ago where the locals are speaking in Irish because they needed a language that wouldn't be widely understood. But yeah, I don't think there's, and I think there's an instance of Dublin Bus being mentioned in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I think, as like a magical spell. And that's the only connections I can think of Irish to Hollywood at the moment.
I can think of two actually. Well, one of them is Clint Eastwood in $1 Million Baby.
Yes.
And the whole thing, in fact, an Irish speaker would see what was happening straight away, because he's in love with the young boxer, the girl who's learning to box, and he keeps calling her. I think the word is Makulsha. Makulsha.
I think so.
And it's never translated in the. So he's there. He's a boxer trainer, and the idea he's learning Irish from a book. That's the sideline, and he calls her Makulsha. I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's a
Makushla.
It means your pulse.
Mm-hmm.
So to call somebody Makushla is very deep. It means that you mean a lot to.
Wow, and that's what he calls her. He even gives her the name as her boxing name, and so everyone is calling out Makulsha, and and so wow, he really likes his protege. So yeah. And another place, well, of course, I think it was thrown in, but it was John Wayne, or it was The Quiet Man. You have Maureen O'Hara. Yes.
And what was the one film down in Zengil? Ryan's Daughter, yes.
Oh, they have Irish and Ryan's Daughter. Wow. Okay. God, yeah.
So I think that was probably the main connections to the Irish to Hollywood. But I'm sure if anyone knows any other ones, feel free to send in your recommendations.
Yeah.
But I think cool, which Amas or in Drogheda, I would happily sit and chat with you for the next 4 hours, no bother at all. But just in Drogheda, just in conscious of time. Gur mila maig of Zucht Evain Shaw. Thank you so much for taking part, and also thank you so much for everyone who tuned in and who watched it. And there are plenty of other great events happening with UCD Festival at the moment. But yeah, if you would like to what do you call it? Where can people find you, or where can people find your work if they would like to reach out to Gaeltacht Sur Seine or to your Irish classes? If you'd like to give your own curtain call, I suppose, is the time there.
Okay. Paula, you first. Tussa Deuce.
I know Tamisha Ivy Hasna in the rang with Lawheard and Ruds and Tain Rud the one really of all thing the most obvious part of call would be the Centre Culturel Irlandais and on the 5e at Paris in the 5th in Paris. There's always something going on there. Classes running as well. I don't know whether they'll be online again this year or what, but it's a good place to start anyway.
And for the Gaeltacht Sur Seine, just Google Gaeltacht Sur Seine, and up we pop. We're very well. So there's a Gaeltacht. You can just put Gaeltacht Sur Seine or Irish Paris, and we have a website and we have a Facebook, and then you'll get information for the other two, which is the Club Lair and Club Aroniecta, and all your information is there.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, isn't it? You make one contact, and then all these fronds that go off, and you end up probably not where you wanted to be in the first place at all. But, no, it's good. Everything's connected in the end.
Yeah, but mind you, that's for the Paris one now, because we're speaking to the four corners of the earth here. UCD is all over the place. Yeah. So we know that there are in Berlin, in Strasbourg, in Brussels, in Madrid. But hold on, wait a second. Go on to, in fact, a good place as well is to go on to the website of Cunning and Gaeilge, and they have a lot of the foreign branches, the Crave, there, and even then they have a good few, but there's even more again who haven't. Throughout there, you just click the name of your where you're living, right? Just click wherever you are, and you'd be very surprised they're all over the place. There's a lot of independent Irish-speaking clubs who are totally unorganized, but no, they're, let's say they're not organized, they're not connected. They do their thing. I mean, there's other clubs like even the Association Irlandaise here in Paris. They are brilliant. There's about 200. They're all French, 200 of them. They're learning singing, dancing, instruments. You can't find them. They're back in the 60s. They don't communicate. They're in the Maison Basque in Saint Ouen. They do. We know how to find them. We know how to find them, but
you know the password. You know the secret knock.
so not everything is online. Not everything is online.
But yeah, absolutely, and would 100% encourage anyone who is interested in learning Irish, learning more about Irish, to reach out to those things and to look up those resources, because it's easier than ever to learn Irish, which is fantastic. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you all at the next Irish language events that are coming up. I know I'm booking my flight to Paris now as we speak to head out.
Come straight, Fáilte mór. Bienvenue.
Well, gur míle maith, folks. Agus hope you have a safe week and a lovely week. And yeah, I think about Sinead doing you. So Niamh, gur míle maith.
with you. Yeah, bhí na cosúlachtaí agus starna lognamcha agus slinta cósamú ba chóir cósamulation. Inis bhhatham bhuichas a gá leithú Paula agus Ciaran asocht forguid ama agus córa intach. Before we wrap up, just a reminder that you can check out our other Global Perspectives events and see the full UST Festival lineup by clicking the link in the chat box. I think it should be going in there now. So tá príomhhéile ag tarlú lína ón déirtín seo an seachtú Las Fiche go dtí an néú Las Fiche, agus by córáta sprágúla agus simúla, léithe, cardlanna agus taspantais idir gníomhacha le fáil. If you missed any of tonight's webinar, don't worry, we have recorded this session and it will be available on the UST Alumni YouTube channel and the Alumni Network from tomorrow. Gur míle maith roimh taclin aniu agus tásúla goin go bhheicimid tú go fiorúil agus sin ag roimh go luath buíochas le dia. Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone.
Well, sure, hey, gur maith to sin Gaeltacht. Gur maith.
Yeah, thank you very much. Gur míle maith.
Okay, you want bonsoir.
John.
You.
You.